The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Thursday podcast coming to you on Thursday, January 7th, 2021. It's Wildcard. Oh, no. It's Super Wildcard weekend in the NFL. With Big Jim, James Neese, Kyle F. Nash. Fellas, what's up, man?
What's going on, EJ? What's going on, Kyle? Good to be back on with you boys.
Listen, once again, I know we've done this before recently, but call me the student of the game all you want. There is no book, tome, lesson I could have processed into my brain for me to realize how much pull Big Jim has around here. Because if it weren't for you, Jim, it'd be another damn 6 months before this dude got me on the show.
I'm good at what I do. What can I say?
Yeah.
The facts of the case. I knew you were good, but it's that next level-ish, man.
Well, you gotta admit, though, that last episode we did back in December was pretty wild, pretty awesome.
Yes, perhaps you should check it out, audience people. # shameless plug.
Yeah, it's still in the library. And by the way, because of that episode, every Thursday this next couple of weeks leading up to this, of course, this week, the original weekend next week, and championship weekend in 2 weeks, and then Super Bowl week in early February, we'll be having the same roundtable every Thursday / Friday morning when the podcast drops. So, because as you know, we're recording this late Thursday night. My kids are asleep, which is great because I'm stressed the hell out.
So hey, listen, what I hear you say.
What was that, Jim?
I said, who isn't stressed out at this point?
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And look, I wanted this to be a sports only episode today, but we can't start this show without talking about the events the last 24 hours. Talking about what happened in Washington D.C. yesterday. I don't want to elaborate too much in detail about whatever, but just wanted to give you guys your thoughts, clear heads about your thoughts, your reflection of what happened yesterday on Capitol Hill.
I'm going to get this out the way first because I know Jim's going to have a lot more awesome things to say about it than I will on this because I've seen on Twitter and
on tweets, baby.
Yeah, make sure you follow Big Jim on. Tell him the handle real quick, Jim, since I'm propping it.
At Big Jim Sports.
Check those tweets.
See, and that's why I always forget his Twitter handle. It's just that damn simple. I'm like, damn it, I should have known that. Every time he says his
there's
tweet.
no numbers, there's no underscores, there's nothing. It's as simple as can be.
Like in the Twitter realm, the order is Jesus, Moses, Big Jim. That's how quickly they got the ish. Anyways, no. But yeah, as far as the insurrection attempt, the failed coup, which by the way, note to the press, it's not a coup, it's a failed coup. So if you're going to use the COUP word, it has to be preceded by the word failed because their guy didn't get it. So just make sure you're intellectually honest, and good journalists, if there are any still out there, should do that. Anyways, perhaps I'm oversimplifying it, but to me, and I said this as it was happening, pardon my potential cynicism label here that's about to come, but all I saw was a big old redneck tantrum, at the end of the day. How are they any different than cats 4 years ago at college campuses that were protesting once Trump got elected? Now, granted, the difference is I can say, in that instance, perhaps more people should have gotten off their couches. But in this instance, people got off their couches. You just effing lost, Chief. It's time to deal. And I'll put it this way. And I off the record, I'll tell you guys something that's probably a little less correct for the confines of this show, even though this is a free-flowing conversation. So says the voice
of the intro by my beautiful wife. Yep.
Excellent voice, too.
Yeah.
I remember last time we did a pod with her, she smoked you like a blunt. But anyways.
Always. In many ways.
But I find it interesting how long. No. Hey, you be as proud of that as you want.
Let's go.
I can't help but notice how much easier it was for them to get in than it would be for me if I'm trying to get a damn tour as a tourist. And I'll leave it at that.
For me, I mean, yeah, if you want my live and real time thoughts, you can go to the Twitter. They're still there from yesterday. my account didn't get locked out to where I had to delete anything. I
love your Twitter. I swear to God, I mean, I know obviously some of it's serious real quick, but your Twitter's one of my favorites. It really is.
I mean, between politics, the fact that I hate Clay Travis, Dallas Cowboys, hockey season starts next week, so the party never stops over at Big Jim Sports. But like, I'm just, and it's the same sentiment I've echoed since the pandemic, and for 3.5 years, like I did not vote for Trump the first time. I did not vote for Trump this time. But for 3.5 years, I just kind of felt like a little bit embarrassed. Like, you would hear him say things, you would see some of the tweets, and I'm just like, this is really just kind of really fucking dumb. But at no point did I feel any less safe, secure, or anything in my world. Now, that's me. Everybody's experience is different. But for me, I didn't feel truly any differently in my world for the first 3.5 years of a Trump presidency. But then obviously, last January, February, March, we see a developing situation that, he can't pull his head out of the ground or his ass to be able to actually do anything about. And then, instead of, being like every single person who's lost an election in, I don't know, the history of our fucking country, the guy throws a temper tantrum and he embodies a base that has believed that every person in the media is lying, that has believed every quacked out theory because he gives them the time of day and all of this. Like, when Joe Biden says the words of a president matter, he's not fucking lying. And what happened yesterday is 100% proof in the pudding that the words of a president matter, because earlier in the day, President Trump, impotus or bloatus, as I call him,
he texts me that all the time too, bloatus,
is standing on the stage in Washington, D.C., basically telling this group of people to march up to the Capitol and do something about it. And then when it happens, he sits on his couch in his little bunker tweeting, "Don't be violent. Don't do that." Are you fucking, like, what is wrong with you? And then Mike Pence, with the face turn of the century, to pull a wrestling term, finally grows a spine after 4 years, calls in the National Guard and tries to start to clean this shit up. And then in the middle of the night has to do the job that they should have been doing safe and secure all damn day. But to me, the saddest thing about all of this is, obviously beyond what actually is the fact that while the images and the video that we saw yesterday were shocking, because you should only see that kind of shit on TV or movies,
right?
Not 1 second of any of that was surprising if you've been paying attention since the word go. And that's the worst part to me.
I'll say this. I was surprised by it, but the reason was, and I've been guilty of having too much faith in humanity all the time, Jim. I just didn't think they would do it at the end of the day. And I just, when I saw it, I had I will be damned. They're actually doing this trash. So whatever that's worth to you.
Right.
But yeah, I hear where you're coming from too. You have every right to have not been surprised if you were, to use your words, paying attention. There's plenty of indication there. If you just happen to have too much faith in humanity like I did, you were surprised. If you were reasonable. Yeah, I'm fair.
Hey, Jim, real quick.
The last 10 months has taken a lot of that away from me personally.
Totally fair.
Hey, Jim, real quick. Which wrestler would have been the equivalent of Mike Pence? The turn, the heel turn, the face turn. Which wrestler would have been a nice example?
Can I throw Sid Justice in as a candidate?
That's not a bad one, actually.
Yeah, that's not a bad one, man.
Hogan and Sid Justice
and Hogan back in Mania 8?
Yep.
Maybe. I mean, if we're talking on the grandest stage of them all, I mean, maybe the Hogan turning on the NWO with the Hogan Rock WrestleMania. Because I mean, this is it doesn't get much grander than the United States Capitol building having to be taken back from a bunch of wackos in bearskin rugs. Like it just
right. All right. Well, I'm not going to share my piece because I actually, before we got on here, I recorded a solo podcast covering my thoughts. Which, by the way, listeners who would listen to that, it's verbal diarrhea. It's a lot of cussing. So
hashtag shameless plug.
It's actually dropping. It's actually the episode for this one. So anyway, it's already up too, for the record. As I'm recording.
Thanks for the lead in, EJ. There you go. Good work.
Like that, huh? Just share my work. Anyway, let's discuss before we get to the wild card weekend picks and predictions.
Yes.
We had another Black Monday 2021 in the books. Not a lot of coaches fired this week. I thought we had a lot more guys dismissed, but not as much as we thought. Now, obviously, Adam Gase, the Jets firing him, not surprising. Who else lost their job this week?
Anthony Lynn.
That was a little shocking. Not shocking, I guess slightly surprising. But then again,
I was a little surprised by it.
A little surprised, but I mean, it made the playoffs 2 years ago, and then this year they're competitive. But then again, there's a lot of games they lost, which you can argue was his fault this year.
Well, and moreover, EJ, remember I had cited at the time of that playoff game where, I mean, oh yeah, but it's Tom Brady. Of course he won. It's not so much that Tom Brady beat him in that playoff game. You may remember I said, EJ, I was about to call you Julius already. It's too early in the episode.
No, that's okay.
But the piece for me, it wasn't so much that he lost at a playoff game situation like that. It's the fact that he did it by sitting back in a zone and letting Tom Brady throw. If I'm the GM, that was the beginning of the end. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I guess who else lost jobs this week?
Doug Marrone.
Doug Marrone, not surprising there at all. There was one more, wasn't there? What was it?
I remember there being a fourth one, but I can't remember who it was. That might be it.
That might be it, actually. Any surprise? I mean, Big Jim, any surprises here for you?
Well, the Texans they need a head coach as well.
Yeah,
but that was already. The Lions.
Yeah, that was already done, right?
They're ones that are already done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
relatively tame like Monday in comparison to other ones in the past.
He's expecting you to say McCarthy, Jim. That's what he's doing.
No, you know what? I don't. I mean, what else are the Cowboys going to? I mean, I don't think this year. And honestly, and I think it's a situation of what this year was. You look at the lack of a normal camp, no scrimmages, no preseason, guys opting out, COVID lists, and things would change on a dime on a Saturday night. You would have two positives would pop up and everything goes into a tailspin. So I think overall, I mean, unless things were really abysmal or it was all part of the plan to begin with, we're looking at New York Jets. I don't think that a lot of teams were like, you know what, this was an odd year. So why don't we, continue what we were building on, or we had something new here or what have you. So it doesn't really surprise me that Black Monday in the NFL was relatively quiet this year.
And to your point too, Jim, there were a couple where the job was already done. Atlanta as well on that
right.
list. So really, when you round it all out, there's 6 or 7 firings when, even though you'll get the Rome is burning types who will tell you it'll be double-digit firings this year, it always seems to be 6 or 7 every time.
Yeah, the house, sometimes the guys say, lock them over a year. Now, there could be some more down the horizon. Like, there was some thought that the Bears missed the playoffs, that maybe their guy's gone too.
They're not dumb. I hope they're not dumb enough to blame all this on Nagy like the fans are.
I agree. Matt Nagy.
Nagy's what's keeping it alive. Can we be clear on that?
Yep.
I'll give a damn what G. Stelio Or now my head guy at the 3-point conversion, Raphael Haynes, say, Matt Nagy's the reason you got anywhere.
They're not Nagy guys?
Oh, hell no. First of all, I know it's been a while since our good friend G Stelio, GWSTWLIO on Twitter, has actually tweeted. But this dude would, as a Bears fan, would spew so much Nagy hate. Well, we all know the issue's Trubisky. By the way, thanks again, John Lynch.
You have 2 non-starting quarterbacks as your both starting quarterbacks. That's a problem.
But the fact that they can even make it to a 7th playoff spot is proof that Nagy's still making that Hall of Mirrors work.
With shit quarterbacks.
Yeah.
With shit quarterbacks. Oh, by the way, you can always have Mark Trestman back if you want to, guys. Come on now.
Yeah, that's funny.
Hey, the XFL's coming back next year.
Yeah,
wait,
right.
Is it really?
At one point,
the Rock's a partial owner.
Yeah,
right.
no, but did he announce something?
He has hinted at it on his Instagram, right?
They announced this fall that they'll be back in 2022.
Yep.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I missed that part.
Mm-hmm.
They could always rehire Adam Gase, am I right, fellas?
his eyeballs all over the place anyway. We make these Deshaun Watson rumors. He had this really innocuous tweet a couple days ago, and most people believe it was due to his reaction to the hiring of the new GM. And then there's now more rumors coming out. You know, I know PFT Mike Florio discussed the idea of him possibly broaching for a trade out of Houston. I don't know, man. I'm kind of like the quote was he's quietly broaching. Well, obviously he's not that quiet if you're fucking reporting it.
Right, dude.
I mean, seriously, like,
well,
like,
who's deep throat in the Texans locker room?
They ain't that quiet.
Let's take a step back. Like, his tweet, to your point, was pretty innocuous. But in this day and age, especially with the Florios of the world, the damn yellow sports journalist of the world, as much as trash as I talk on Bill Simmons, by the way, EJ, he's never been blatantly dishonest. He's just been wildly, tepid. And I don't feel like he's come up with any fake takes. He's just, a Pats homer. You know all about that. But Florio, the crap he manufactures, and he sticks to sports, so no one can complain about that aspect of it. He's just always just manufacturing trash that gets disproven. You'd think he was out of the Boston media himself. But from that standpoint, yeah, it's widely reported because Florio made a big deal of it. Let's be clear about that. But,
you're not a Florio fan, are you?
I'm giving you the light version. I'm trying to keep it moving.
Oh wow.
Here's the thing. Do I think that Deshaun Watson is 100% happy in Houston? Absolutely not.
Of course, right.
But I mean, he signed, what was it, a 4-year deal last year. It's going to be nearly impossible to move that contract. He's still putting up numbers. Like there's no way he's happy, but he made the smart, him and his team made the smart decision to not sign a 15-year contract or anything like that, to where, now 3 seasons from now, if he doesn't get killed because he doesn't have an offensive line,
thank you,
then he can go somewhere else. But, you can't be silent with the, what is it, like same old, or whatever the tweet said. But, I don't think he's happy, but I don't think there's any real smoke to those rumors. It's going to be nearly, when you're looking at teams with cap space and what is likely going to be a shrinking cap, there's no way teams are going to be able to take that on.
And it's the shrinking cap to me that I think is the biggest issue. That's the excellent drop by you there, Jim. But when you talk about the size of the contract, like, listen, dude, the market's been reset. There's a dude out there with a $500 million contract. Cue the Dr. Evil music. Okay, that's the thing that's happened. All right, so unwilling to take the contract on? I'm not so sure, man. Listen, you got the Imperial March playing up in Foxborough, and the Emperor needs a new apprentice. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to believe that he would not find a way to manipulate draft markets, trades, and picks as he has in the past to get Deshaun Watson up in New England. Now, that being said, his big problem has been acquiring and making picks, not moving picks around. There is a difference. But at the end of the day, I'll put it this way: the shrinking cap possibility is the only thing I think stopping this from being a bigger story. And at the end of the day, if Watson were to, for whatever reason, make more noise and devalue his worth to the Texans, basically by sabotaging the PR room, I don't think he's going to do that. He's not that kind of guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's not out of the realm of possibility, and we're still not even in the offseason yet, technically. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think there'll be a movement, but there's a reason why Danny Thompson and I talked about it tonight before this recording. Is it's something that will be talked about into the offseason.
But I also think, I mean, if you look at the teams that like truly need quarterbacks, there's there's draft picks, there's obviously, I don't have the full list in front of me. There's going to be other free agents. I mean, there's a guy that's, repairing that's rehabbing an ankle in Dallas that's hitting a market. So, I'm not here for a Dak versus Deshaun debate, but there's going to be other options there as well that with the shrinking cap, can you, and coming off an injury like that, can you make a better offer to Dak Prescott? There's going to be a lot of questions.
Well, just as an example, let's say the Niners pass on Garoppolo when he ends up through the conspiracy theories in New England. With the Niners cap situation, is it possible that they would acquire Dak before Deshaun as a run-first team with a lot of young receivers that wins defensively first? You sure as hell can't rule that out. Oh, by the way, the GM's a should-be defensive Hall of Famer and a current Hall of Fame finalist once again in John Lynch. But I think if it's going to happen, Jim, again, the point you make about the shrinking cap is certainly a thing. But having Garoppolo there to throw into the piece as well, to offer a winning alternative, at least on the stat sheet, a winning alternative at the quarterback position. No, I'm not saying he's Deshaun Watson either. But adding that gives them leverage to what else they would have to give up additionally. And I don't really think there's a lot of teams out there who could throw their own quarterback in there as part of the mix and then expect it to be enticing, unless the Jets do that with Sam Darnold. And I don't think that'll work.
Not to bold prediction real quick. He'll be a Texan next year.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I don't see anything. Now, you can talk about us again at the end of next year, but I don't see much out of this story, honestly.
Well, and there could be some things in the off season that change too. Maybe for whatever reason, there's not as big a dip as we would have thought. Maybe there's some picks that move the right way. But today, no, it doesn't look right.
And nothing that a good quick meeting between the minds that could heal things up. Meet with the GM, meet with the coaches, just kind of bygones be bygones, and go from there.
Actually, having a GM in the room, and in the first place, for the first time in his tenure, that's not Bill O'Brien. Yeah, I know there was another guy, but it was basically absentee for most of Deshaun's time, for those that aren't familiar with that situation. Right. So having another face in the room as the first new GM, he would have a lot of leverage in that situation. That's a good point.
Which is a great segue to the next topic, because that's kind of what's sort of happening now in Philly, because all we heard the last couple of weeks is Carson Wentz wants out. And then leading into week 17, Carson Wentz plays his final snap in Philadelphia. He wants out. All of a sudden, that's a couple of days, Carson Wentz is reportedly opening to fixing the situation. Fellas, what do you think about this?
But yeah, by fixing the situation, I assume you mean that they're gonna try and find a way to restructure that contract, because I think there's, if you listen to Zach Ertz this week, and if you look at what happened, Wentz was a healthy scratch. That tells you that they didn't want him even on the field risking injury. He wants to be moved. They want him moved. You got to find a way to make that happen. Again, shrinking cap, huge contract. I think, I have mixed feelings about Carson Wentz. I think he has become the fall guy in Philadelphia.
Yes.
For a fairly incompetent coaching staff that lost all of its guts when Frank Reich went to Indianapolis. I think Carson can be very successful. I do think that he's been in his own head a little bit about the injury situation, but I think there was relationships fractured. I don't think he was ever truly trusted by Doug Peterson, and I think that's been reflective over the past few years. I do think he will be on a different team next year. Where that will be remains to be seen as the offseason would begin to shake out. But, I joked whenever, Jalen Hurts, made a poor decision. There was a poor pick. There was a horrible play calls, things like that. I was sure to tweet. And this is a Cowboys fan, give it, trying to, kind of take pity in a way on an Eagles quarterback. But I was like, look at the mistake that Carson Wentz just made. Oh, wait. What happened this year was not Carson Wentz's fault. Like, was he great? Absolutely not. But I don't think that team was set up to be good at all.
Well, and let's be clear on another thing, Jim. Like, the games that they were close in and won, in a lot of cases, were due to him. Like, he's hitting receivers that are from Old Dominion, for Christ's sake. And listen, no offense to our Old Dominion fan base out there, but you are not first known as a football school. That's just a fact of life. And I think you're spot on with things getting in his head. Listen, this guy has failed to finish a complete performance. I can't say a complete season because he made it through the season and then got hurt in the first round of the playoffs. This guy hasn't played a full postseason game, and this team around him has not stayed particularly healthy since the Super Bowl year. There have been injuries galore. I don't know what it is that Doug Peterson's putting in the water or what the nutritionist is doing or any of that crap, but that team, yeah, right, enough. That group around him cannot stay healthy. It ain't just Wentz that's had that problem. Now, he's the quarterback. That's the focus. And listen, I had a lot of great things to say about Jalen Hurts, but the thing I want to leave in everyone's head, it's not so much that Carson Wentz wants out. He just does what you want a franchise quarterback to do. Be the guy that's starting. And if you're going to make him a fall guy for that, you're just wrong.
Yeah.
No, I can dig that. Do you think Jalen Hurts is the answer going forward, though?
I didn't say the answer. I said I liked him. I mean, honestly, if you find yourself in a position as Eagles ownership where you're like, listen, we missed on him. He's not staying healthy. He's not playing to what we're paying him. We need the gap filled. Let's give Jalen Hurts a shot. Yeah, I think he fits that role very nicely. As a mobile guy, he's pretty good. I've always liked his arm pretty well. He's not. I could probably argue he's a little undersized, but then we're in a league where Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Drew Brees are a thing, okay? So get the hell over that. But as a temporary fix, like if I were asked today if I wanted to stopgap my franchise with Ryan Fitzpatrick or Jalen Hurts, I might pick Jalen Hurts simply because I don't want the showers to be full of beard hair, okay?
All right, let's get
do
to
I think Jalen Hurts is the final answer? No, but
right.
you could also do a lot worse. And obviously, you look at this Eagles team. First thing they need is a new strength and conditioning coach because clearly you probably need a new team doctor. But you have a lot more problems than Jalen Hurts at quarterback.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah. All right, let's get to the main event. We're waiting for now. Super Wildcard weekend. They don't call it Wildcard weekend. Super, no, the extra game. Folks, it is now not 4 games. Now it's 6 games a weekend. 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. Now, I know Kyle and I already in the past have multiple times in this podcast discussed our thoughts on whether we like the 7 teams per conference idea. We both don't like it. I'm not sure if you still feel the same way today.
I do.
I kind of do too, but I'm not hating it as much as I did, say, 3 months ago. I will say that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It waters it down, yes, but at the end of the day, more football? Sure, why not?
Well, I mean, just quickly, here's the thing I say. It's funny, with this first layout, we get the best and worst of both worlds, right? With this layout, we're stuck with the damn Bears in the playoffs, which is just absolute stupid trash. But on the other side, we have a 10-win team who had to sit out in the AFC, and it would have been 2 if they didn't expand it. So, damn it,
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I need more. I need more of excuses to eat popcorn and chicken wings and drink IPAs all day. So you give me look. Put it this way, man. Hockey starts next week. The world and the country are both literally and figuratively on fire. Give me a goddamn distraction.
We're in Rumble season 2.
It is. We're in Rumble season, but man, give me more things to distract me from everything going on outside of my world.
That's right.
By
The
the way-
world's on fire. Put Jim's TV on the ice with some hockey. Hell yes.
Exactly.
Real quick, there's some breaking news. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan are finalizing a 5-year deal.
Oh, okay, yeah, because they had been dancing around it, but now it's official.
Well, they're finalizing it now, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been, because my wife is a Michigan fan. Don't ask me how a Notre Dame fan and a Michigan fan got married, but literally, we met on Match, and that was one of the first things when I messaged her on Match that was part of the message was the fact that she had a Michigan sweatshirt on. I was a Notre Dame fan, but
I've seen
how's that
Romeo
work,
and Juliet. I've seen Romeo and Juliet. You know how it works.
Big Jim, you're here now, obviously, but how does that work? Knowing that was the introduction. She's a Michigan fan. By the way,
my dad,
on her side for the record. I hate Notre Dame. I love Michigan. So
my dad and my brother weren't super happy. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's dude. What's really funny about it, if you would have told me, because we've been together for 11 years, 12 years this summer.
Cool.
And if you would have told me 15 years ago that there would come a point in my life where, except if Notre Dame was playing them, that I would actually hope that Michigan wins, I would have laughed and laughed and laughed and then laughed some more. But it's really kind of strange how a couple of years ago we went out to Ann Arbor. I saw a game, cool experience if you've never seen a game in the Big House, but it's wild that I've, I will never say that I'm a Michigan fan, but I only truly hate Michigan anymore if Notre Dame is playing them. And when Notre Dame plays them, I literally go and watch the game somewhere else. That's not a joke. We are both very passionate about our college football teams, and we like to watch the games apart.
That's good politics, man.
Yeah, but in terms of the Harbaugh thing, I've been reading. Yeah, I've been, because of that, I'm always a little bit more tuned in to it. I've been seeing for weeks that it seemed like he was going to come back, but that they were going to look at a restructure, because you never want to go into a 1-year college head coach. It is not going to work. It is going to fail, and it is going to set your program up for disaster.
They're saying it's also a low buyout. So
yeah, that's the key. He's one of the highest paid college coaches. A debate on that is for a whole nother time. Fuck off, Clay Travis. But the bottom line is you had to bring that number down if you were going to bring him back. And I compare it a lot to the 2010 Notre Dame season, or not 2010, 2016 Notre Dame season. They went 4-8, and that off season, I'm pretty sure that everybody looked at Brian Kelly and said, look, something's not working here. You have to make some changes. And they overhauled the staff. They made a lot of changes to it. And since then, they've won 10 or more games every year. I'm not saying
the first Notre Dame coach to do that 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I actually saw them win that bowl game where they brought in Ian Book in the second half over LSU.
Oh, yes. And so, I'm not saying that Michigan's going to turn around and win 10 or more games every season. But, I mean, if you look at the track record, he's only lost more than or won less than 9 every year he's been at Michigan. That said, there are games he has to win. But I think you're seeing Don Brown was removed. Apparently the majority of the offensive staff is being overhauled. He is going to work directly with the quarterbacks. I think you're going to see a much different Michigan team, I would hope, next year. But what happens is if it doesn't get any better, it's going to hurt Michigan less to buy him out and move on. If it does work better, they look pretty damn smart in the long run that they got it restructured and brought it back.
And here's the thing that kills me, though, about that whole conversation, Jim, is of course the alumni are all ticked that they can't beat Ohio State. Neither did Lloyd Carr for the most part. Neither did Bo Schembechler for the most part. This is not something Michigan coaches typically do. You know what else they typically do? Win fewer than 9.5 games a year, which Jim Harbaugh was doing until COVID. Fans are dumb, okay?
Yeah. And the thing, too, is, that I think the kids love Harbaugh.
Yep.
you know, this summer, this spring and summer, when you know we had, you know, marches and protests everywhere, he was out there with his team, like him and his staff, but him particularly was really at the front lines with his players. You know, in those situations, you know, they've had players. There was I forget the name of the quarterback that started for them the majority of this season. You know, he was a 4 or 5 star recruit that was Notre Dame and switched to Michigan because of Harbaugh. Like, yeah, you know, you haven't beaten Ohio State. Who has beaten Ohio State? There's a lot of
not
teams
many.
Not
Clemson.
Hey-o!
And for the record, I hated all 4 teams in the playoff, but I'm really happy that fucking Iowa State beat them now. Really happy.
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that.
obviously, I would have wished that the Rose Bowl would have went a little different, but whatever.
Well, that's less surprising though. Big Jim.
I'm gonna say something real quick in defense of Jim's Irish. Now, granted, the one thing I'm gonna say before I go into it, why did they keep Cincinnati, Coastal, all that out of it? Oh, well, we don't want to see a team get blown out. Well, okay, but you still got that, so that excuse is crap. But that being said, who doesn't get blown out by Alabama, right? It's the same thing we dealt with in 2017, which people started being like, Notre Dame didn't belong. And then Clemson goes and smacks Saban around in the goddamn championship. Look, bitches, no one beats them around. That's why they were put in the 4th seed. Okay? Right. I mean, listen, I thoroughly appreciate what Notre Dame this year proving me right about how inept the ACC is. They came in as a mercenary and dominated that shit. So what do you want me to tell you? But at the end of the day, those who think that Notre Dame was the problem is wrong. Ohio State's the problem because the rules had to be changed to let them in.
And now, I mean, they've obviously proven they belong. And that was one thing. Shameless plug, Huddle Up Podcast, Tuesday nights. I had said all year, I thought that Ohio State was one of the 4 best teams in college football. My issue was the Big Ten selling their soul out to make sure their team got in there. That was the problem. Ohio State clearly belonged on that field. We'll find out in a couple of days just how good they are. But, yeah, you know, that Ohio State was the issue because of the rule change.
Right. You're 100% correct on that. And I said the same thing. Like, if I'm crying foul as one of the G5 teams, and not that I am personally, I just cover a G5 team in UCF, so I'm close to the gripes. What you should be griping is that a conference was able to dictate a change that impacted the CFP. We already have enough issues with the committee having active and former members of athletic departments, or heads, I should say, of athletic departments. That's bad enough. For a conference to come in and dictate their team into the playoff, that's some trash. But hey, at least they didn't lead in a 3-2 Oregon team as a conference champion.
Well, totally agree. Before we get off this topic, who wins Monday?
I mean, how do you not pick Alabama?
I mean, I got Bama to win, but I think this game's going to be close. I got like 34-30 Alabama. I like Ohio State in the points, honestly.
I was going to say on Tuesday night, I think I took Ohio State to cover. I think, you know, they over under 75. I mean, it's truly going to come down to,
oh my God,
you know, who, you know, and I think it's going to come down to the health of Ohio State, really. You know, we've heard about COVID rumors. There's speculation that it's Justin Fields isn't going to be 100% after that hit he took, which should not have been targeting, by the way.
Agreed.
But, you know, if Justin Fields isn't healthy, then that thing could get out of hand pretty quick. If he is, then, you know, don't even put a defense on the field. Just put a couple of tackling dummies out there and see if any guys accidentally hit him.
What you guys mentioned that you picked Ohio State to cover. What was the spread you had?
I think it was 7.5.
Yeah, I think it was either 7 or 7.5. I always pull them on Tuesday, so obviously they're going to move a little bit. But it was like 7 or 7.5.
It's all right now.
Yeah, that's. I don't know that I would be brave enough to bet that game with that number.
Oh yeah,
but
I'm not a degenerate, but I would not bet that game.
I'm saying, were I a degenerate, I wouldn't.
I'm showing it.
That's how.
Currently,
it's actually an 8 now. At 8.
Okay, if it's at 8, then yeah, I pick them to cover. I don't think it'll be a 2-score game or with a 2-point conversion, friggin' whatever. Hey, if I'm wrong, give me the damn push, bitch. Okay. Anyways,
Take the half point. Tease it down.
but yeah, I can't be mad at you for picking the cover there. But yeah, obviously, I mean, you're gonna pick against Saban? No thanks.
Nope, I'm good on that one.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to see Dabo Swinney's whiny bitch face on the sideline again this season, I'm totally cool with it.
I
guess this is the part where Coach Day plays the part of Maui and sings "What Can I Say?" except you're welcome.
Welcome. All right, let's get to the Super Wildcard playoffs. Like I said, 6 games, 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. You guys want to do something spread? Spread's fun.
Sure.
Okay, let's do this.
Show, brother.
The Colts head to Buffalo, face the Bills. First home playoff game for the Bills since Bill Clinton was inaugurated for a second term.
Wow.
Actually, no, that's not true.
He
was still in his first term.
They were there, but wow.
He was still in his first term, actually. I apologize.
Well,
1986.
Yeah, you're talking about hosting.
I was 11.
I was 16. I was turning 16.
1996?
Oh yeah, I guess I would have been 10. I would have been turning 11 that summer.
Yeah. Anyway, the Bills are a 6-point favorite. Kind of low, actually, in my opinion.
That is pretty low. I think the Bills can beat them by a touchdown, and the reason why I'm going to say that is because they have probably the best receiver core since that era you mentioned. Say what you will about Josh Allen and the people that want to say he's an MVP candidate. That's adorable. But the reason why that offense is made over is Stephon Diggs. I said it in August when that trade was made, and this cat has proven me right. And call me a homer if you want. I'm sorry. I just covered them. What Gabe Davis has done is probably put him in the top 2 or 3 of rookie receivers on the year. No one's going to put anybody other than Jefferson moving on up as the top rookie receiver in the NFL for the Vikings, but he's playing for the Vikings, that poor bastard. But I don't trust Phil Rivers enough to be consistent. If Jonathan Taylor gets in there and prevents fumbling himself, that's adorable. But Phil Rivers, at the end of the day, listen, Ernest Julius Christian here will tell you for the first 5 years of his career, I called him Philip the Fraud Rivers, and there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm. Jim?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a big game. We know what Philip Rivers does in big games. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to take his helmet off, and he's going to pout. And the Bills are going to have, I know it's a small crowd, but they're going to have the Bills Mafia in that building for the first time this year. Give me the Bills plus, man.
How many people allowed there? How many people will be allowed in the stadium?
I think I saw it was around 6,500.
It's just right now. If this was a playoff game with the full crowd, this would be a fucking massacre. Okay.
Oh, you wouldn't have a spread as low as eight points.
Exactly. That's the only reason why it's so low is because of the crowd is not. It'll be tame. This game will still be a blowout, in my opinion. But with the, I got this like 34-10. This is not gonna be a close game. Buffalo covers this and then some.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I don't see anything happening there. All right. Game number 2. 4:40 p.m. The LA Rams heading to Seattle face the Seahawks. The spread is now 3.5. Seattle minus 3.5. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Jared Goff like questionable for this game?
He is.
Why the fuck is why is this line lowering?
Oh, I'll
Seattle
tell you.
Sucks.
Well, that's partially true, except for the fact that they have the NFL MVP, Russell Carrington Wilson.
Not this year's MVP. I'm sorry.
Yes, he is. You can be wrong all you want, and I can dunk on you again on your own show,
Jim,
but I don't want to do it in front of Jim.
Jim, this is so weird because for years, Kyle Nash was one of the biggest Russell Wilson critics. And I was one defending his crown for years.
See, this is,
and we've now flipped.
Wait, you work for Fox News? You work for Clay Travis? Okay. What I said about him then was that he was overrated. Overrated doesn't mean bad. It just means not as good as everyone says. Then he get this, Jim. A young player actually got better in the NFL. Holy shit. And so when Russell Wilson did that, he was able to propel his team even after the Legion of Boom started to crumble and Marshawn
This
Lynch
really started in 2017 when the Seahawks missed the playoffs, and I said, well, unfortunately, you missed the playoffs. He can't get an MVP, and he got mad at me for saying that.
Oh, I went to, and it wasn't just you, dude. Like I was.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
You should be able to get the MVP, but much like the Heisman Trophy, it's kind of become, who's the best player on one of the best teams, which is unfortunate because an MVP award should truly be just that. But the Heisman Trophy should truly be the best player in college football, but it is neither of those are those anymore.
Let me be clear real quick. I'm a New York Giants fan, not a Pats fan as Kyle claims me to be. Okay, for the record. That's for the record. Okay. Russell Wilson is my all-time favorite football player. Period. Okay?
Even over Lawrence Taylor? Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. I love Russell Wilson. Okay? But it's just so weird to have Kyle now taking the mantle, taking the flame that I started in 2012, 2013, and fucking run with it now. He's now – basically Kyle has said that Russell Wilson has been the MVP of this league 3 of the last 4 years.
No. The past 2 years is what I'm saying.
2 of the last 3 years.
2 of the last 3. Thank you. Yes.
That's a lot.
That's absolutely correct.
That's a lot.
Okay. What do you want me to tell you? And that's not counting this season, by the way.
That being said, riddle me this. Jared Goff is questionable on Thursday. The line opened at 5. It's in Seattle, granted no crowds. So Jared Goff is questionable, and the line lowers to 3.5. What the fuck does Vegas know? Jim.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this game sucks. I'm just gonna.
NFC West.
No, this game sucks. Look, I know everybody wants to dunk on the NFC East, and feel free because.
Question. Guilty charged.
But Seattle, 12-4. I mean, my God, has there been a worse 12-4 team? This team has limped it to the fact that they were still in competition for the number 1 seed going into the final week was still baffling to me. But wow. Russell Wilson hasn't been playing well. DK Metcalf has disappeared. The defense has looked a little bit better. I also think it has partly to do with some of the fact that they've played some crappy teams down the way. But the Rams, I mean, their defense can, I guess, do enough to disrupt. But it feels weird to say if you don't have Jared Goff. This game sucks. I don't care. I don't even care. Seattle's gonna win because the world hates me, and I have to watch gum chewer Pete Carroll for another goddamn week. But they'll probably win and cover.
I was wondering what on earth you have against the Seahawks. It was very confusing to me. And then you got to the guy who made the worst offensive play call in Super Bowl history, and I again began to understand. But let's be clear of a couple of things that those of you guys that disrespect the NFC West as the best division in football that it is right now, when everybody's healthy at least, that's being overlooked here. Gentlemen, this defense isn't just good enough to disrupt. This defense has been carrying this effing team. Aaron Donald is probably safely the defensive player of the year for the past 3 years. They're just not going to do that. And Jalen Ramsey, the resurgence he's had with an actual consistent pass rush up front behind Donald is insane. The number of actual catches he's allowed, forget touchdowns allowed, the catches he has allowed on the year is just very low.
I'll go further, Kyle. I'll go further real quick. Aaron Donald. He's arguably league MVP.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, but I can certainly listen. I mean, these fools that want to try to tell me Patrick LeVon Mahomes II's an MVP are just off their rockers, shouts to my co-host Danny Thompson. He's not the MVP. As much as they look behind him and hand the ball off and let him, sit in a cabana behind the pocket there for a while, you're going to call him, is that the MVP? Listen, I'll put it this way. Patrick Mahomes gets hurt. They put in the backup real quick. They coast to win games. How do I feel that way? We watched it happen last year on their way to a damn Super Bowl. Russell Wilson misses a game. That franchise crumbles. And we don't account for that because we haven't seen it.
And besides, the MVP is playing on Sunday, just for the record. That was said.
I can prove you wrong there, too. But I'll tell you why DK Metcalf disappeared. The only thing they got is Rusty throwing long to these receivers that can't run decent routes and are completely overrated. And the worst offensive line in the league. Just again for another year running, but no one wants to talk about that.
That said, this game will be competitive because of the familiarity of both these teams.
But in Team's defense, competitive doesn't mean good.
No, we can whether or not we get. Well, Russell Wilson's fun to watch, but for me personally, but I see this being like a 24-20 Seattle win. They'll cover the spread barely. What you guys got?
Seattle plus.
Yeah, is anybody picking against Seattle? I didn't think so.
They cover it too? They cover the spread? 3.5? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. They have the starting quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. The GOAT.
Well, pump the brakes, Chief.
I'm joking. Relax.
Yes, we know you're joking there, Pats fan. I mean, Brady fan. I mean,
That's
both.
right.
Whatever.
Speaking of my so-called love, Tom Brady, 8 o'clock, 8:15 p.m., the Buccaneers go to Washington to face the football team.
Hey, you did it!
I've been ever since the last podcast when you made me aware of that. I've been really being conscious of it.
Dude, on Tuesday night, my brother on kept saying Redskins, and he'd say, the Redskins, and I'd go, football team. He'd say, football team. And he never, he finally picked up on it. He goes, who gives a shit? I just call them Washington then.
I'll be honest with you, I kind of like the football team. Hope it sticks.
Oh, stop it.
If they go deep in the playoffs, they'll still be the football team next year. That's my prediction.
Oh, I think they're already moving towards doing that, Jim. That's the sentiment I've already heard.
That's
crazy.
Anyway, the Bucks are 8-point favorites. Gotta be honest with you, this is I keep getting, not saying it's going to happen, but I'm getting upset vibes from this game. Not saying it's going to happen, but this game smells fishy. So much that I think I'm taking Washington points here.
You want this one first, Jim?
Yeah, I feel like you may have things to say. Look, I think Tampa Bay is playing their best football right now. Now, again, they've had a couple of cakewalks down the final stretch, but if there's one thing you don't want to give Tom Brady, it's confidence, and I feel like that's what's kind of building there. I'll say this: I think Washington has the front seven to disrupt what Tampa Bay's been doing. That said, I think Tampa's defense has enough to disrupt the Washington offense. So, the points, the over/under in itself is fairly low for an NFL game, but I would steer clear from betting anything over/under. I think Tampa Bay wins this game. I think it's going to be close to that 8.5 number. Somewhere between 7 and 10. I wouldn't touch this game if I was a bettor. For sake of the picks, I'll take Tom plus because the world's already burning. Why not watch people get more angry that Tom Brady's succeeding again? But I also would not be 100% shocked if Washington was able to pull off an upset.
So for clarity, if it were in my world, the Buccaneers would be hosting this game as the team that actually achieved a winning damn record. But enough about that. I like that a lot of attention's being drawn to the defensive fronts of both sides. And even though Mike Evans is missing, they still have that Antonio Brown guy. But listen, guys, the offense being run by Alex Smith, I know he's the comeback player of the year. And I know he survived his first big hit from Aaron Donald in his comeback game. But at the end of the day, as much as we want to talk about Chase Young going after a 43-year-old man, how about Devin White and company going to work on a guy who recovered from a huge leg injury and isn't half as mobile as he used to be? And that's running your offense. Listen, I appreciate that both teams have a lot of defense to account for. But at the end of the day, you got to score some effing points. And the only one equipped to do it is the Bucks.
Is Mike Evans clear to play this game? Because that's something that's really make me a little nervous. I'm a Buck fan.
He's
I think they're saying
news,
game time decision.
They are saying, though, what I first released is that the injury for his shoulder, all they've said is that he's definitely coming back the second week. I hadn't heard game time, so, yeah, that's worse than I thought it was. So maybe he will miss. But even if he does, a one-game replacement, hey, I'm going to miss this guy. Can you put in AB? No problem. Okay,
That's true. I mean,
that's kind of use him as a decoy. Maybe if he's quote unquote healthy enough to play, I'd put him out there in uniform throw a pass or two his way, because if he's not there, then you can key in a little bit more on Godwin. You can key in a little bit more on AB. And I know obviously when you get inside the 20, you got the Gronk factor, but
Yep.
But I mean, if you can get Mike Evans on the field to cause a little bit of distraction, I think that would be immensely helpful to the Buccaneers.
That'd be incredibly awesome. I love that thought, Jim.
All right.
I feel like Tony Romo was like, Jim, that's a great play. That's the closest thing to being a Dallas supporter you'll get from me, partner.
Yep.
Dude, that's been the funniest part is like all of my friends, and obviously because I'm here in central Pennsylvania, I know a ton of Eagles fans, a ton of Steelers fans that like just shit on Romo for years and years and years, and then have had to eat crow about how smart and how brilliant of a football mind that guy actually is, and how many times he's been like, I love Romo on commentary. I'm like, yeah, motherfuckers.
And for the record, I had actually written a parody song for how Romo would always get the blame. I'll save that for you sometime off air, but yeah, I get you on that one, brother.
I am one of the biggest Romo defenders in the history of the planet, so you already know how I feel about it. And Kyle, you know this, so.
Yes, sir.
Anyway.
I always go back, the game I always go back to, and it was, to me, it sums up Tony Romo's entire 10 years of Cowboys starting quarterback. It was the last game at the old Texas Stadium. Cowboys were down. Romo leads a touchdown drive. First play on the next drive, 78-yard touchdown run by the Ravens.
Jesus.
Romo, now I think it was just under 2 minutes down the field. Touchdown drive to again take the lead twice in the last 5 minutes. First play from scrimmage on the Ravens' next drive, 82-yard touchdown run. And then the Cowboys failed to come back and win the game.
Is it the Ravens game?
The playoffs. And who got the blame?
Tony Antonio.
Because he couldn't lead the touchdown. I'm like, are you serious right now?
Dude.
Like,
and I think we spoke about this on the podcast a year ago, Big Jim. I'll do one better than that. I'll just remind you. The game that encapsulates Romo's career is, I think it was 2014, 2013. You're playing the Broncos, and you guys lost.
The Manning game.
You lost 51-48.
Yeah.
Romo outplayed.
Wasn't that still the Colts at that point, or was it?
No, that was the
No, it was the Broncos.
That was the Manning Broncos.
51-48.
I just remember it was
Broncos
Manning
win.
there. Yeah, Manning scores 50 points, but it's Romo's fault because he threw a pick at the end. Shut up.
The only pick of the game. His only pick of the game was the pick.
Yeah, guy throws. I think he had 5 touchdown passes in that game.
Correct. I think you're right.
I'm like, so it was his fault the defense gave up 52, right?
Yeah, exactly. That game.
I think I might have been still doing the student of the game on that. I remember talking a sewers full of shit on that.
Yeah, it was unreal. I mean, I get it. Like the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is arguably the most criticized job in sports besides head coach at Notre Dame. But
some of the dumbest takes came out of that game.
But
though.
my God,
you should have thrown that pass for defense.
And like the people, and also the people that not to get on a Romo rant, but like the people that always talk about Romo being soft. I'm like, are you kidding? That guy played with broken ribs. I think he played with like a partially punctured lung one season. Like he had 4 broken bones in his throwing hand, and he played, not to count the time that his offensive lineman practically had to carry him down the field because of a nerve injury in his back, and he led a touchdown or a game-winning drive against Washington. Like, there are few quarterbacks as tough as Tony Romo.
Yet my dad, may he rest in peace, all he could do was bring up that cruise he took on the bye week. Man, shut up.
Yeah. Well, it benefited me.
If Jessica Simpson wants you to go on a cruise in the Bahamas, you say yes. That is the answer.
Yeah, exactly. And he obviously brought Witten. He obviously brought Witten to hold the camera. I get it.
Exactly.
Is she still considered hot?
Absolutely, dude. It was her, Brittany, and Christina. It was like right in my wheelhouse as a teenager, and I always loved Jessica Simpson, and she still looks good, man.
I remember her being hot. Yeah. Okay. Sunday games, 1:00. The Baltimore Ravens head in Tennessee to face the Titans. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites. Didn't they not watch the game last year? What does Vegas know? I mean, I'm going to pick Baltimore to win this game, for the record. I'm just shocked that Vegas is actually upfront about this like that.
I mean, I think they've watched the Titans this year. I've caught fraud on this Titans team most of the season. And I think it also comes into account that the Ravens are playing their best football of the year. They have been absolutely on the rise since Lamar Jackson came back from the COVID list. And I think that the Ravens, not only in their history, but over the last couple of years, I think they have always played better when they're the underdog.
Yep.
The problem last year is they went in 14-2. Everybody told them how great they were, and they got hit in the mouth, and they didn't know how to respond. This year, they're the team doing the hitting, and I mean, you're not going to stop Derrick Henry. Like, it's not going to happen.
MVP, right? MVP, for the record. Yeah.
I don't mind that vote. It's not better than Russell Carrington Wilson, but
like, you're not going to stop him. You have to find ways to keep the damage at a minimum. It's like reinforcing your windows when a hurricane's coming to town.
Yeah.
It's that sort of a situation. You know shit's gonna get busted, but you're trying to minimize the damage. But yeah, the Titans defense stinks. So, if the Ravens can move the ball at all, which they should be able to, if you're going to ask me who's going to win a shootout, Lamar Jackson or Ryan Tannehill, give me Jackson. Baltimore wins this game, dude.
Well,
I'm gonna enjoy Clay Travis's tears when he bitches about how his Titans didn't win.
Well, to assure the audience that there's zero bias in this situation or pick from Big Jim, I as somebody who wrote for the Dolphins Wire for 2 years, one of them being under our good friend Antoine Staley, one of the articles I wrote about was how this offensive line in Miami at the time was never healthy enough to actually stand in front of Ryan Tannehill. And Ryan Tannehill, his numbers were suspiciously better when he had an offensive line in front of him. In 2017, there was only 6 games. Or no,
funny
there
how
were
that
6
works,
games.
right? Funny how that works.
Yeah, there were 6 games where they had all 5 starters on the field at the same time. And there were some where there were only 3. Then he gets a line in front of him. And they topple Tom Brady in the opening round of the playoffs. Holy guacamole. But Ryan Tannehill suspect. And then I go to the other side. Lamar Jackson can't throw. Bitches, he threw for 365 against this team in a playoff game last season. Stop it. So at the end of the day, the reason why, to use Jim's term, this game sucks. The reason why this game sucks is because at the end of it, somebody's going to say something stupid, and I don't host my own show right now to bitch about it. That being said, you could probably see it on Beyond the Buzzer Monday at 9 o'clock on Facebook. Beyond the Buzzer Facebook page.
On a podcast, though.
I
told you, man.
I'm sorry.
Podcast going, bro.
First of all, talk to the host. Second, talk to the host. Third, you were given the link. Stop being a bitch. Anyways.
Fuck. I mean, the thing is, though, you can talk shit. You're fucking 7'5". I can't fuck with you. You'll kill me.
That's according to G. Stelio. I'm a 7'5" Viking with an olive tan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, olive tan.
Anyways, no, but at the end of the day, listen, it's hard to pick against the Ravens because they may have struggled earlier in the year, but when did they struggle? Facing the Super Bowl champions, or when their entire team couldn't practice for weeks at a time. That matters, gentlemen. And to say they hit the hot hand, I don't think that's a bad descriptor, but let's keep in mind they actually got to go to practice full time. Funny how that works.
Funny.
At the end of the day, I like Vrabel as a coach. I like John Harbaugh better. I think this game gets close at the end because they'll try to run Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter, and it'll be too little, too late. I don't think they will subject themselves to the long ball from Tannehill. I think I would be prepared for this game to be boring. The strategy I feel like will be used, and I could be wrong, is that the Ravens grind the clock to limit the number of drives the Titans have, and Ryan Tannehill will be put in a position to where he has to be virtually perfect for them to win, which he kind of did by accident last time. So there's that. But Danny Thompson's defense, he said that they don't have a long threat on the offense other than Mark Andrews, and that's fair. But at the end of the day, if they're up by 14 points, the Ravens in the fourth quarter, I think they're going to win the game, because at that point, Derrick Henry might be unstoppable, but it takes time to run the football.
Sure does.
I think Baltimore is the most dangerous team in the AFC right now, top to bottom.
Even more dangerous than the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Just check.
I'm not saying they beat the Chiefs. I'm just saying this is dangerous as shit because, as Big Jim just said, they're not on the radar this time. They're playing well at the right time.
Oh, okay.
It kind of has that 07 Giants feel to it a little bit. Like, you know, they had a couple dips in the season, and then right around week 15, they just figured it out. You know, I got Baltimore in this game, and I got Baltimore in this game fairly decent too. Revenge factor and all that. So, all right, next game here. Chicago Bears heading to New Orleans, face the Saints. This is the only double-digit spread here. The Saints are 10.5-point favorites. I'm not a Bears fan, obviously, but you know my disdain for Saints fans. I am rooting heavy for Chicago to win this game. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to take the Saints to win this game. I kind of feel like this game will be a lot closer than that spread. So I'll take Chicago to points. I won't bet it, though. But I can see this being a little more competitive than Vegas says, just because. I don't know. The Saints seem to fall apart in playoffs these last couple of years.
Well, that has more to do with their defense than their offense, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I mean, and then so with that being the factor, what offense did the Bears have exactly? Exactly. Alvin Kamara carries the ball early, draws everybody up. Drew Brees throws a couple long passes because, you know, that's kind of what he does. He had a little bit of a rest because he got hurt again, so his arm won't be completely shot. Saints win big. Boom. Jimmy, if you got anything else, please let me know.
I mean, I hate the Saints, so I'm going to be rooting for the Bears. I don't see them standing a chance. Trubisky or whatever the hell his name is, or Nick Foles, it doesn't matter who's the quarterback. It really don't matter. Saints are going to blow them out.
Trubisky.
That was beautiful.
Fucking comedy hour at Big Jim's house.
I might take out that clip and send it to G. Stelio personally.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. And finally, the night game on Sunday, the Cleveland Browns making the playoffs for the first time in 18 fucking years. Pittsburgh will face the Steelers. The Steelers are 6-point favorites. Line opened at 4, now it's 6. The Browns coach and players getting COVID on the eve of their first playoff game in 2 decades is so Cleveland Browns. Like, that's my man Lamont Broadus, man. But God, sorry, bro. Oh man. I feel like this game is going to be competitive just because of the fact that these teams are familiar with each other. But I just don't see a path where the Steelers lose this game. I just don't.
Yeah, like, again, I live in Pennsylvania. I hate the Eagles. I hate the Steelers. I hate all things Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh sports, I should say. City's fine. The Permane Brothers sandwiches are delicious, by the way.
Hell yes. The double D for the win, son.
Oh, my God. It's also good. I always like to add a fried egg on mine, regardless of what meat I get. I highly recommend that if you like eggs. But this is a bummer because, like, how can you hate Cleveland unless you're a fan of a AFC North team, really? You just look at that city and you feel bad. And I feel bad again because, you finally have something makes you feel good and then COVID. So, I'm going to root for the Browns. I'll never root for the Steelers, but I'm with you, EJ. I don't see a route how they can win this game.
Browns in the points, though, for the record. Browns in the points, but that's about it.
Maybe even that, but it's a bummer, man.
Yeah, no, that's fair too. I mean, listen, I feel ways about Baker Mayfield. I think he's slightly overrated. Just the same way that
the commercials are great, though.
The commercials are great. I'm trying to be nice here. Like Jim's trying to put out this humanitarian vibe. I can't be all like, oh my God, overrated Durkadur. I feel bad, man. But but yeah, Baker Mayfield's a bit overrated. But if honestly, he was on a stretch of 3 or 4 games where he was averaging 325 yards a game. So like, you can't be a complete chump and do that, But at the end of the day, Nick Chubb and company running the football make this team. Like, we know that, right? Like, so with the Steelers failing to do what they should have done to kick them off the cliff and shout out, "This is Sparta," as they plummet to doom like Persians, they are suspect now in the opportunity for them to get conquered. And then COVID happened.
Browns.
I mean, let's say without that, they might have the drive to have won this game. See what I did there? Anyways, at the end of the day, man, I think that as close as this game was going to be, the COVID thing kind of tips it over the edge. If the Browns win, props and a half to them. But as much as I dig the Steelers as a franchise, as much as I dig Tomlin, as much as I dig T.J. Watt, not just because he's J.J.'s brother, he's a damn unstoppable force. At the end of the day, I hate to say this. Hell, you and I thought Roethlisberger would be retired by now. Dude's clearly washed at this point. And I don't take him seriously as a Super Bowl contender. And if he wins this game, I'm going to say it would be because of the Rona, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers, much like the Tennessee Titans, are a team that I've pegged as a fraud for most of the year, and that's not just because of my Keystone State hatred of all things black and yellow, but they struggled to beat a Dallas Cowboys team that stank. They've struggled against so many inferior opponents this year. And I'm not discrediting the fact that they won 12 games. Like, it's not easy to do that regardless, especially in a year such as this. But if you think that winning this game, if you think they're going to stack up against, Baltimore, Kansas City, and some of these other hitters, and there's not a chance. Take your win this week, Pittsburgh. Shine up your 6th fucking ring and just sit on it.
By the way, when I witnessed him playing in the I think it was still the Camping World Bowl last year, I saw Chase Claypool in person and knew he was going to be something. When he got drafted by Pittsburgh, I'm like, that's the perfect spot. So
yeah, I hated it, but I'm happy for him, man. That dude can catch anything. He really can. He's unbelievable. And
he's Canadian, so he's likable as hell. I mean, damn.
Right. Awesome. It's so good. I'm happy for him. I hate that he's a Steeler because, over the years, because I'm a huge jersey guy, I've bought countless jerseys of Notre Dame players that have made it to the NFL, but never. I can't do it.
Canadians, could you spot an unlikable Canadian? Because I can't.
Ryan Adams. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, the Canadian government has apologized for right now.
Yeah, I'm saying. I don't know what Canadian I don't like.
I mean,
Trudeau is cool. Justin Trudeau.
I mean, Rob Ford was fairly unlikable.
That's true.
I mean, he was entertaining as hell, but he was not.
Was he a cokehead?
Yeah, he was a cokehead, and then I think he ended up getting cancer. He kind of cleaned his life up, and then he got cancer. So I mean, that was a bummer. But I don't think he was. I mean, obviously, wasn't the tremendous person beforehand.
I mean, listen, tweet at EJ if you know an unlikable Canadian. What's the handle again? EJ Christian 7?
Yep.
So, yeah, if you can think of an unlikable Canadian, hit him up at EJ Christian 7. Well, I'm curious to hear that.
You can tag me in that one, too, because I'm very curious.
Big Joe Sports.
At
SLGG.
No one cares about my Twitter, bro.
I don't like playing against Sidney Crosby, but I don't necessarily think he's an unlikable person. Like, I think he's a good guy.
Right,
I
exactly.
have to hate him.
Yeah.
I mean, I never actually had a problem with Deion Sanders in my. No, I actually did. I hated the way it was a show.
We don't have time to talk about Prime.
You like Prime?
Hey, listen.
Ooh.
I
No,
love.
wait, Big Jim.
I love a guy who's in the Hall of Fame as a defensive player without being capable of tackling anybody. It's a beautiful thing.
No, that I agree with though. But Big Jim, you're not a Deion Sanders guy?
No, never was. Even when he was Cowboys. I mean, so again, as a kid, this is me as a kid. I always thought he was arrogant. And then he played for the 49ers, who in the mid 90s were obviously such a huge rival with the Cowboys. I mean, it was back and forth them year after year after year.
Like, how do Jim and I like each other? Seriously.
Right.
That's true.
The most angry I got watching a football game up to that point were those games.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. I mean,
Great game.
But I've never been a fan of just his attitude and the way he carried himself. And I'm a Notre Dame fan, and he played at Florida State, so
Chill out.
Well, hey, I'll put it this way. I know who your favorite 49er was Elvis Gerbach. Saying.
Wait, Gerbach went to Michigan though, did he? Or Notre Dame.
I don't know. I just know how many times he's handed the Cowboys the football over the years.
Yeah.
Gerbach went to Michigan actually. He played with,
he definitely helped us a few times, but obviously the all-time 49er for me will always be the GOAT Joe Montana, or at least the former.
Oh yeah.
You know, obviously
the actual GOAT, the one that
1B.
No, the actual GOAT that actually won Super Bowls with receivers at a second team that I need EJ to remind me the name of because they're so obscure. One's not named Randy Moss and they still lost the game.
Oh, you mean John Taylor wasn't that good? Really?
No. I said with the Chiefs. Pay attention, Jackwagon.
I was gonna say well, here's the thing. And I mean, I love Joe Montana, and I've always defended because I've known people that have tried to make like the Marino greater than Montana argument.
Yeah, like
Marino was great, but rings don't automatically make you greater than somebody. But when you have as many as Joe does, and then I've always used the argument of when he went to Kansas City, because he went and he transformed that team in the twilight of his career. So what I will say this, Tom Brady is the best quarterback I have ever watched from start till whenever the hell he finishes. That remains to be seen. And like, let's hypothetically say that this year, next year, he leads the Buccaneers to a Super Bowl. Then you're kind of starting to get that Montana with the Chiefs vibe. And if he can actually win it all with them,
I like the argument.
Then maybe we're talking dethroning. But I've never liked, and this is something I want to tackle on Huddle Up, and maybe I'll jump you guys into the mix sometime in the offseason. I've never liked like the best ever argument, because there are so many different eras, and the way that the style of play, the way the game is officiated, the way defenses are, like, it's such a silly argument. Like, you can talk about eras, like who was the best quarterback since the year 2000? Who was the best quarterback in the 80s through the 90s? Like,
who was the best quarterback to not have the league make rules specifically for them on multiple occasions? Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? So it's like those are the arguments that really are to me more valuable, because when you talk about, and there are some things obviously that can kind of cross over, because when you're talking hockey, and I'm sitting here staring at the Washington Capitals wallpaper on my computer, and I'm less than a week away from hockey season, but like, Alex Ovechkin is the best goal scorer of all time. Like, whether he catches Wayne is probably not going to happen. Is fuck you, COVID. But he's a guy that has scored better than anybody in generations since Wayne Gretzky, in an era that the league has tried to make it harder to play offense. So like that's something that you can feel a little bit safer on. But like things like quarterback, like it's almost impossible because it's just everything about the game today is so different. It's impossible. Like, and it would be awesome if you could take old game film and analyze it the way that we analyze football now. But first off, you don't have the camera angles because I've always said like some of these amazing plays, like would that catch hold up and stuff like that. Like it's a fascinating case study, but you could never do it because you just don't have the technology. It's completely different, and the way we look at the game is completely different.
Well, easy fears real quick. Burrito's my top 3.
That's fair.
Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to sit down and make a hard list, and again, for me, I mean, I didn't see a lot of Dan Marino's career, so it's harder. Like I've grown up, and really, because growing up, I was more of a college guy, so by the time I really dug into the NFL, we were already in the offense era, and so I always get skewed there.
Right. Well, that's a good way to stop the show tonight. Fellas, it was fun.
Always.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, hey, listen, like I said, I'm glad Jim is enough as a celebrity to compel you to have me on the show. And you know, I think it's from all the times that Big Jim is graciously, when I have been a complete ass, reminded me that I'm capable of doing it. It's okay.
Good the Lord. Fucking Kyle Nash. I guess, guys, give your plugs away. Plug away.
You want to go first, Kyle? You want me?
I have to go first. You're the celebrity, right? So, of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my work with, of course, Beyond the Buzzer Monday and now Thursday at 9 p.m. on the Beyond the Buzzer Facebook page. Of course, you can get a link to that, and if you get the link, you can use it to watch the thing and use headphones and not be a punk like EJ. You can also check out my work on the 3-point conversion.com. Do some writings there on college football and stuff of late. I'm probably going to force an NFL article in there soon, but look out for any previews for the playoffs there as well from our good friends there, such as Danny Thompson and Raphael Haynes as well. And then, of course, check out Beyond the Buzzers, or not Beyond the Buzzer, I'm sorry, Hilarity by Default with me and Demosthenes Euclid talking about movies and pop culture in general. We will be recording next Wednesday for the start. I should say, well, January's already started, but into January we're going with Sean Connery month, a late tribute to the man who we lost in 2020. We'll be recording for The Untouchables, which is due to premiere that episode during this month. And I forget what the next episode's actually supposed to be, but check the Hilarity by Default YouTube channel, and you'll see for yourself what episode it is there. Good times all the way around. Jim.
You can follow me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter, and you can also check out my shows. 3 Count Thursday Pro Wrestling Podcast. Obviously, we air on Thursday nights. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for that is 3 Count Thursday. Huddle Up Podcast is me and my brother, and we have a rotating panel there as well with my friends Matt and Dave. We're at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and Twitter, at Huddle Up Pod on Instagram for that one, for your sports takes. And yeah, I mean, I get the compliments on the Twitter channel, on the Twitter page. I don't really hold back. It's kind of a revolving journal, and this year has been, or the past 10 months has been quite interesting. So join me over there. Throw me a follow. Check out the shows. But as always, Kyle, EJ, it is an absolute blast to talk to you guys. Why don't we do it again next week?
Awesome.
Oh, we are doing it next week.
See, that's how much pull he has. Why are we doing next week? Oh, we're doing next week, boss. Yes, sir. Like, only Tom Brady himself requesting would get EJ that excited.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. A little too excited.
My.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Find the wife.
my.
Find the wife. Good God.
You're like, oh my. Anyway.
Yeah, you
All
went
right,
too
fellas. All right, fellas. We'll talk next week. Enjoy Super Wildcard weekend.
Last to Smith, gentlemen.
You got it.
Yep.